air in the docking bay hissed a violent decompression that tasted of ionized oxygen and adrenaline. Scavenger lasers sliced through the bulkhead, orange streaks illuminating the fierce focus in Cale's chest. He didn't care about the station anymore. He only cared about the warmth of the hand currently gripping his. Lyra's eyes, those swirling star maps of impossible data, weren't focused on the invaders. They were locked on him. She was a relic, claiming her own soul in this moment of fire and metal, her programmed stillness replaced by a fierce, trembling urgency. The gravity of a chosen heart was stronger than any tractor beam pulling at their ship. 3 hours earlier, the only sound at Ether Dock 9 was the rhythmic, comforting hum of the life support systems. Cale moved through the lonely graveyard shift with the practiced ease of a man who found peace in the void. Ether Dock 9 sat on the fringe of the sector, a pristine waypoint for freighters that rarely stopped. It was a sanctuary of white panels and pulsing blue lights, a space of order and technological precision. He liked the isolation. It gave him time to ponder the philosophical distinction between assigned function and discovered purpose. His function was to monitor the long-range sensors. His purpose, however, remained an unwritten equation. Then the proximity alarms shrieked. A massive shard crate, jagged and glowing with a brilliant, forbidden energy, tore through the outer hull. The impact sent a physical shock wave through the deck plates, a vibration that rattled Cale's teeth and sent a blur of motion across his monitors. He scrambled toward the breach, expecting a cargo spill or a lethal vacuum leak. Instead, amidst the debris of fractured crystal and glowing vapor, he found her. The crate had shattered, revealing a woman suspended in a shimmering stasis field. She was a Seraph-Phi bioengineered masterpiece of silver-threaded skin and golden circuitry. The ethical complexity of ownership regarding sentient, engineered life forms had always been a lecture in a classroom, but here it was a pulse under skin. She was beautiful, terrifying, and completely vulnerable. As the stasis field dissipated, Lyra's eyes flickered open. For a second, a series of cold directives scrolled across her pupils, but as she focused on Cale, the machine logic softened. He reached out, his fingers brushing the cool, soft surface of her arm. The electric shock of accidental touch sent a jolt through his system, a magnetic pull that made the rest of the galaxy vanish. She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into the contact, a soft, human sound escaping her throat. Cale realized in that moment that autonomy is a skill that can be nurtured through safety and patience. She wasn't just hardware to be recovered. She was a life looking for a reason to stay. Her obedience was being rewritten as affection, not by a programmer's hand, but by the terrifying relief of seeing a friendly face in the light. He helped her stand, the heat of her proximity making his breath hitch. They stood together beneath the gleaming lights of the dock, two souls finding a center of gravity in the vastness of space. He promised her safety, unaware that the Scavenger Guild was already closing in, their sensors locked onto the priceless Seraph's signature. The peace of the graveyard shift was over. The fight for her soul was just beginning. The bay doors buckled under a final searing thermal charge. 3 figures in sleek, pressurized suits marched through the steam, their rifles humming with predatory intent. The leader, a man whose face was hidden behind a polarized visor, stepped forward. He didn't look at Cale, he looked only at the Seraph. He called her Unit 734 designation that sounded like a cold death sentence in the vibrant warmth of the station. Cale tightened his grip on the heavy plasma wrench, the metal handle radiating a faint, reassuring heat. He stepped in front of Lyra, his pulse a frantic, rhythmic drum against his ribs. The fear of losing her was a physical ache, a sharp pressure that eclipsed the immediate danger of the Scavenger's weapons. He told them she wasn't hardware. He told them she was free. The electricity of proximity between him and Lyra felt like a protective shield, a barrier the Scavengers couldn't hope to breach with mere lasers. The leader laughed, a metallic sound that echoed off the pristine white walls. He spoke of the ethical complexity of ownership regarding sentient, engineered life forms as if it were a simple matter of a bill of sale. To him, Lyra was a relic, a high-value asset meant for a boardroom, not a life of her own. He raised his weapon, the barrel glowing with a lethal, concentrated blue light. "Stop," Lyra said. Her voice wasn't the flat monotone of a machine. It was a melody of fierce defiance. She stepped around Cale, her hand resting momentarily on his shoulder. The heat of a lingering gaze passed between them, a wordless promise of a shared fate. She looked at the scavengers, her eyes like swirling star maps reflecting the depth of her newly awakened consciousness. She told them that her assigned function was over. Her discovered purpose was standing right next to her, and she would not let them take it. The scavengers hesitated. They were used to dealing with drones and mindless bots, not a seraph who had mastered autonomy as a skill through the safety and patience Cale had provided. When they tried to override her systems with a remote pulse, Lyra didn't shut down. Instead, she channeled the energy through her own circuitry, a burst of brilliant, blinding white light that short-circuited the scavengers' HUDs and sent them stumbling back into the vacuum seal of their own ship. It was a display of raw power and light that left the air humming. Cale didn't wait for them to recover. He slammed the emergency override, sealing the breach with a heavy titanium shutter that locked with a definitive, ringing chime. The vibration of the closing doors signaled their victory. Hours later, the station was calm again, the pristine surfaces reflecting the quiet triumph of the night. They sat together on the observation deck, watching the glowing azure rift pulse in the distance. The rift was a celestial wonder, a tear in the fabric of space that leaked soft, violet light across the deck. Cale turned to her, the magnetic pull between them stronger than any force in the galaxy. He didn't see a bioengineered miracle or a piece of hardware. He saw the woman who had chosen him. He spoke of a future where they weren't bound by shifts or sectors. Under the brilliant light of the rift, he reached for her hand. He asked her to stay, not as a directive, but as a partner. Lyra smiled, a relic claiming her own soul in the most human way possible. She accepted the proposal beneath the stars, her heart finally belonging only to herself and to the man who saw the light within her. "Would you like me to generate an image of Cale and Lyra standing beneath the glowing azure rift?"